Okay, so I actually went back and I went back to the save that I made with Morgan about the rep, and this time nothing bugged out, nothing went weird, everything went perfect. So I just have to hope that it'll stay this way because I got the option to talk to Randall about my own rebellion. So hopefully I can do that one. And also I made a slight change in this route where I didn't attack Lazarus. I made a deal with him. Because honestly, I only did it before to see if being a Mavar made it so that I could actually, like, stand a chance against him, and it did. But usually I like to just make a deal with him to get that extra firepower at the end. Right. Hey, you can win me a stuffed animal at the arcade. Okay, I'll win you all of the stuffed animals if it's the last thing I do. Oh boy, gonna put those Mavar skills to work, huh? Don't beat the machines too hard or else people might get suspicious here. You know, we haven't had the depressing NSFW scene. You know what though, this route is a lot less depressing. So far, I need to touch wood. Touch wood. We spent the rest of the night at Santa Monica, whiling away the hours with arcade games. Randall had taken an unusually careful route to the pier. He said he just wanted us to hang out together without the other Mavar tracking him down. But as our stuffed animal collection slowly increased and the sunrise crept closer and closer, Randall's smile never grew as bright as it had before. Oh, great. I spoke too soon. I fucking spoke too soon, didn't I? Rain pattered gently against my window. I gazed down at the distant city streets where the wet pavement glistened with the reflection of endless nights. A little while ago, I'd awoken to the soft sound of a storm. Somehow it made the world seem so peaceful, calm and drowsy, entirely different from the bristling tension that had filled the past few days. Listening to the rain almost made my tired body want to drift back to sleep. Ring ring. The phone interrupted my thoughts, snapping me back to the moment. I reached over to pick it up, but as soon as I held the receiver to my ear, Valkii, Sharice's voice hissed out at me. I'm coming up to your room now. Am I really near the end already? I feel like I keep needing to check my stats to make sure nothing has gone down. I'm paranoid about it now. The line abruptly went dead. She sounded much, much angrier than I'd ever heard her before. Apparently my peaceful night wasn't destined to last very long. Did I miss the NSFW scene, or is it just way later? A few minutes later, my door rattled with 3 vehement knocks. The second I opened it, Sharice strode past me, silently storming her way inside my room. She radiated fury, even though her expression looked dangerously calm. What happened, Sharice? Sharice gave me a silent, bitter look. I had a feeling that anger wasn't the only emotion swirling inside her right now. I don't remember this point. I mean, I swear this point is where she's like, we're gonna have to make a stand. Yes, it is. Two of my agents were killed tonight. When she finally managed to speak, her voice trembled slightly. Not from spying, not from venturing into enemy territory. They were off duty. They hadn't even left Hollywood, but they were picked off, attacked in an alley way as they... Oh, a minute, I think my mic isn't the right gain. As they left to see a movie together. Was it the Mavar, the Golgotha? I don't know. At this point, it hardly matters. She scowled at me harshly, as if I was somehow responsible for what happened. These little ambushes, these pathetic attempts at power plays, they're nothing more than a show, a pitiful show of strength that they don't even have. One of her hands clenched into a tight fist, knuckles nearly bursting open her glove. Neither the Mavar nor the Golgotha are bold enough to make a genuine first move. They're too afraid of a real conflict. That is why I will make the first move, and an opportunity has just arisen for it. Go on, I'm listening. Sharice took a long, deep breath, lifting a hand to adjust her glasses. When her steely gaze refocused on mine, it seemed like she'd calmed down a little. I am currently working with a new Ascari manager at the abattoir to plan a party on Friday, a party exclusive to our coven. That club is considered the most important neutral territory because it is an extremely popular feeding ground. During the gathering, you're going to announce that the club now belongs to the Ascari, as does the whole city. Anyone who remains an enemy to our faction will be treated accordingly. Seems straightforward enough, consider it done. I'll send along my agents who will provide support both inside and out of the club. There may not be any initial fighting, but we should be prepared. Then after that night you'll forcibly drive them out? Yes, anyone who continues to undermine the city's laws, which worked excellently until this senseless rebellion, will be told to leave Los Angeles. I want to minimize bloodshed, but some of them will inevitably attack us in retaliation. Alright, I'll take care of it. It's time we bring an end to the war. It most certainly is. Muttering those words bitterly, Cherise shook her head. She still seemed different from her normal self, aggressive but uncertain, almost like a wounded animal ready to attack. Then, pushing past me, she swiftly made her way to the door. Oh, and just so you're aware, for your own safety, I can't allow you to leave the hotel without my permission. I do hope you understand. She closed the door without letting me reply, although her words didn't leave much room for argument. And with that, I was imprisoned in the hotel. Cherie said the party would happen Friday, but today was only Wednesday. I'd have to deal with being leashed here until then, kept inside my luxury prison. I glanced outside my window where the moon and dark clouds seemed closer than the distant streets below. For once, I didn't feel hungry at all, only isolated. I probably wouldn't be able to call Randall, since the Ascari were no doubt monitoring me closely, just in case. I sank down into my bed, staring at the wall with a strangely numb sensation. For a moment, I felt the same way I did my first night, all alone in this empty room. It didn't matter that I'd already seen unimaginable things or survived some of the darkest parts of Hollywood. The coming days still felt like the most uncertain I'd ever see ahead of me. Okay, so what's next? I'm a bit confused. An arid Thursday night stretched out before my eyes. Is this new? No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not new. It's not new. I sat over the edge of my open window, gazing at the moon over the Hollywood Hills. In less than 24 hours, I'd be walking into the abattoir, getting ready to give an announcement that would change the life of every vampire in LA. Until then, Cherise wanted me to stay here, locked up with my thoughts. I could call someone, but I had the feeling the Ascari were monitoring my phone. My only other sources of entertainment were the TV and the sparkling city outside my window. As I sat there alone for the first night in a long time, my mind wandered back to my life before all of this ever happened. My life as a human. Back then, I don't think I remember having to do this with Marcus's route. Did I? Everything's blurring together. Usually content but still restless. I always wanted something more. You can tell what I've already chosen. I remember only choosing them on Heath's route. I don't know. I had my ups and downs coasting through life without ever finding what really completed me. My hopes and fantasies helped me hang on, a rope that I clung onto whenever I felt myself slipping. I knew there was something out there, something that would give me a sense of real fulfillment, but I had to wonder if I'd ever truly grasp it. My eyes flicked up to meet their reflection in the window pane. I hadn't really thought about those days in a long time, the old human me. Now I found myself... Let's just choose the same one. Nostalgic and wistful, but still determined to put the past behind me. When I gazed down at the tiny cars and people wandering on the streets, I could almost see myself as one of them, blissfully ignorant of the dark world that surrounded me now. Even if I knew I was reminiscing through rose-coloured glasses, I felt a bittersweet longing for those brighter, calmer, more predictable times. But there was no going back. No matter how much the past continued to weigh heavily on my shoulders, one day I knew I'd find a way to leave it behind forever. As I sank back onto the bed, finally drifting out of my thoughts, Randall's face surfaced in my mind. There was no way Cherise would willingly let me visit him at this point, not if tomorrow was D-Day. I couldn't just lie about where I was going either. She'd definitely have me followed. If I wanted to talk to Randall safely, I'd have to slip away for a few hours. Was it worth the risk? I'd try to sneak out. I had to visit him, even if it meant risking getting caught, but with Cherise's agents everywhere in the hotel, it wasn't going to be easy. Can I persuade the agents to let me leave? I don't know. We're gonna have to save, I guess. If I played my cards right, maybe I could persuade one of the agents to turn a blind eye. Of course, if I played my cards wrong, I might end up with a blind eye or two myself. They like me. The Ascari like me. And they should let me go. The lobby was bustling with activity, rife with anticipation for tomorrow. But a suited agent stood guard near the door, observing everyone sharply. He'd probably been told not to let me go. When I drew close to him, the agent put on a smooth, polite smile. "May I help you with something, miss?" "Please, I need to leave for just a few minutes. I'm afraid you are not allowed out of the hotel tonight as per Miss Locke's instructions." "I was just going to pick up some cigarettes. Room service can procure those for you, miss, damn it. If there's nothing else, please let me return to my duties." He motioned for me to leave, turning away sharply. Disappointed, I returned to my room. My only other option was the window, even though my room was nerve-wrackingly high up. Try to escape through the window, maybe I'll die. It'll be fine. If I could slip outside unnoticed, then I wouldn't have to worry about being followed. I opened the window and stepped out onto the ledge. The cool air caressed my skin, and the hum... I just had a horrible feeling I wasn't recording. The cool night air caressed my skin, and the hum of urban life below felt distant for a moment. My instincts slowly took hold. Any fear of falling or being caught soon vanished, replaced by exhilaration. This probably helps that I'm a Mavar. If I wasn't a Mavar, I may not be able to do this. Before I knew it, I was leaping from ledge to ledge, moving with balance and ease that I never knew I had. Soon, I dropped to the street, landing deftly in a crouch. Hopefully, nobody had seen me scuttling down the building like an oversized spider, though if they had, I'd given them a great story to tell their grandkids down the line. I hurried away from the hotel, taking the first taxi I saw to the beach. But as the streets of Santa Monica gradually grew closer, I felt a strange, bittersweet tug in my chest. Tomorrow, I'd be stepping into a new chapter of my life, and at the club, anything could happen. Maybe this would be my last trip to the beach and my last chance to see Randall before all the chaos blew over. Though this might be the NSFW scene. Are we ready for it? I don't think so. Even though it felt like my first visit was only yesterday. The shoreline seemed quieter than usual. In fact, the only figures I spotted were a large group by Randall's house. The Mavar seemed to be swarming around it. But when I got closer, I realized they weren't just partying again. A number of them held guns, while others practiced in hand-to-hand brawls, slashing out with their claw-like nails. They must have been preparing for the oncoming fight, and judging from their shouting and laughter, they were looking forward to it. "Hey Valkii, whoa, she came out to see us. You want to join?" As soon as they noticed me, some of the group turned to shout and wave. Marla and Ziggy both offered me nods, and Joaquina cackled, wiggling her wrinkled fingers. "Hey everyone, keep getting ready. Things will heat up soon." "Yeah, and we can't wait. We're finally going to take back LA. Those sons of bitches are going to get what's coming to them." Eager cheers of agreement rang out, and someone threw a beach ball in the air to punctuate the excitement. "Oh yeah, Randall's inside, Valkii. You should go say hi. I bet Randall would want to say more than hi to her, hehe. They're a real power couple, huh? Wish I had a boyfriend like Randall." I left their cheerful laughter behind, slipping into the house. The door swung shut behind me, its rattle echoing through the empty living room. Valkii? Valkii! Or maybe not entirely empty. Randall had been sitting in a chair with his back to the door, but he jumped to his feet when he noticed me. "Man, if I knew you were coming by, I would have cleaned up nicer." Something didn't happen, did it? As if he could somehow sense the different atmosphere, Randall studied my face closely, his brow creasing a little. "Cherie, she's planning to attack the club tomorrow and she's sending me to start it. An attack at the abattoir, huh? Shit." His expression quickly darkened, fangs glinting as he inhaled and released a slow breath through his teeth. "Well, good thing I've been stationing more guys around there recently. I was going to show up myself tomorrow since that big party sounded fishy as hell. I always had a feeling she'd target the club. That's the only big place you can still find all the houses together, more than Saturnalia. I want to avoid bloodshed as much as we can. I do too, Valkii, but I don't know if we have a choice anymore. With luck, maybe we can just drive out all her diehard supporters. I'd like to keep the good Ascari around. But I've got to keep you safe, Valkii. If she's putting you in the middle of all that, then I'll find a way to get you out." He frowned at me intently, one of his hands drifting through my hair. "Listen, don't worry about it. Just play it safe tomorrow until the fighting starts and you can ditch those Ascari fuckers inside the club. We'll all protect you, cross my heart and hope to die, again." But his low chuckle soon faded away, leaving behind only a small, weak smile. Through the covered windows, the sound of distant laughter and shouting filtered into our silence. "I'm glad you came by, Valkii," Randall murmured with another small laugh, though there wasn't any humour behind it. "I always try not to wear my heart on my sleeve, but..." It scares me to think about what would happen if I lost you, and all the hope and happiness I get just from seeing your face. I don't know what I'd do without you sometimes. I don't know what I'd do without you sometimes. You've been this support I never knew I needed, and now that I've got it, I just can't imagine being alone again. I can't imagine I can't imagine being without you either, Randall. Randall's large bandaged palms lifted to cut my face, gently bringing us closer together. I haven't even been, like, recording that long. He placed a soft kiss on my forehead, then on each of my cheeks, and finally on my lips. The last kiss lasted longer and felt needier, deeper, more insistent. When he finally pulled away, he gazed at me with a sudden worry in his eyes, sinking his fangs against his bottom lip. You know, this probably sounds dumb as hell, but every night I keep getting this funny feeling, like we're standing on the edge of some giant abyss, staring down into the darkness. And when the war breaks out for real, we're all gonna fall in together. It won't really matter who wins and loses, who wins and who loses, because we'll already be at the bottom. It'll all work out in the end, you'll see. Yeah. Yeah, it will. You're right, Valkii. He offered me an uncertain smile, then let out a little laugh. Not one of his deep, chest-rumbling ones, but more hoarse. Ah, Christ, you came all the way out here and I'm wasting time sounding like a fucking doomsayer or some shit. His broad chest heaved with a huge sigh, and he shook his head in frustration. Let's just chill out and enjoy ourselves like old times, okay? We'll pretend you're still just a starry-eyed newbie and I'm your handsome mentor, and all the rest of the world can go to hell. He traced a thumb lightly along my lower lip, gazing into my eyes. Oh. There we go, here it is. I told you. I'm gonna just be like, reach up and kiss him. I stood on my toes to close the distance between us, pulling Randall into a kiss. He seemed surprised at first, but soon he pressed back against me with a sudden intensity. Our lips parted, fangs clicking together as his tongue swept forward towards mine. It was impossible to ignore our size difference. Locked in an embrace like this, it felt like he could snap me in half if he wanted to. But right now, his only desire seemed to be for me. He ravenously covered my mouth, jaw, and neck with his lips, fangs scraping everywhere they could. I felt his rough hand slip beneath my shirt, Jesus, beginning to roam across my bare waist and hips. The coarse sensation of his bandaged palms against my skin felt odd but not unpleasant. I was much less sensitive now. Oh, over here. He pulled me towards the couch, gripping my hips hard, his nails digging into my flesh. Dude, calm down. But just as Randall was about to push me down into the cushions, he suddenly stopped. Eyes heavy-lidded, he gazed at me with an almost unnerving intensity, like he wanted to swallow me whole. Dude. Don't say that. That's weird. I think you're too pure for me, Valkii. Do you really want me to dirty you like this? He breathed those words against my cheek, his lips lightly brushing my skin with each movement. Don't say you're dirty, I know you aren't. You're wrong, Valkii. Everything about me is filthy. He spoke that last word so harshly that he practically spat it out, and I almost flinched by reflex. I'm the worst thing you've ever dreamed of, the thing you don't even want to imagine. But you're too beautiful to even exist in this world. His eyes roamed over my face and body, full of longing and reluctance. I'd never seen him look so conflicted before. Are you really sure you want this? Stop thinking about it, I want you, Randall. His fangs sank into his own bottom lip, beads of blood welling up from the flesh. Well, don't kiss me now. He licked them off, eyes closed so tightly that his lids trembled. But when they reopened, most of their doubt had vanished. Oh no. Like, if you watch the Marcus one, or any... I didn't show the Heath one. Because it was too embarrassing. I mean, yes, but also it was too depressing. Like, I was... Even just thinking about it, I'm just like... I'm so depressed. But like with the Marcus one, I'm not going to read out weird bits. Not weird bits, you know what I mean? I'm not like entirely comfortable just saying that stuff out loud. I'm not like a prude, but saying them does cause me a little bit of embarrassment. The next moment, my back slammed against the couch and Randall climbed on top of me. He tore off my jacket, pulling my shirt over my head so impatiently that he almost ripped it open. Valkii. His tongue dragged along my chest, cool and wet. Traces of his saliva, or whatever venom that came from our fangs, glistened on my flesh, tingling as his breath rolled over them. I felt almost as if he were worshipping me, yet at the same time he seemed to be barely restraining himself from something more violent. Is this the Mavar thing? I don't know. Maybe you really are dirty. Maybe it isn't all an act. As Randall softly murmured, what does he mean by that? As Randall softly murmured against my skin, his tongue brushed over one not saying that. He took it in his mouth, teasing it with a fang, biting it harder and harder. Bro. It might have been sharply painful as a human, but now I only felt a distant sting, a tingle of muted pleasure. Pulled needily at his hair. I grabbed a handful of his bright hair, pulling at it roughly to show him how eager I was. I felt his tongue worm its way up to my collarbone, my neck, where he began to bite over and over at my flesh. Lightly, not breaking the skin, but it wasn't out of tenderness. My body may have been dulled to pleasure and pain, but my psyche wasn't. The sight and thought of Randall treating me like this made me feel... I don't know. Let's just make this a nice act, shall we? Intensely aroused, longing for more. No matter how dead my flesh had become, my mind was still able to squirm with delight. Heat and desire flushed through me, pooling in my lips, making me shudder under Randall's touch. At that moment, his knee pressed between my thighs, beginning to grind against my crotch. I'm gonna take you. He hissed those words into my ear, grabbing my waist, the waist of my pants, and yanking them downwards. Okay. Oh. I'm gonna see the scene first. Enjoy. When his fingers crawled below my waist, they... Okay, this is just, like a thing, like, do you have a dick or do you have a vagina? Pressed inside me. Even though my skin was dry, he began to slowly wriggle one of his rough digits inside me, sliding it in bit by bit. There wasn't anything to lubricate it, but I felt no pain, only the sense that I was being filled, invaded, explored by that calloused finger. As he teased and toyed with me, Randall grabbed my wrist, pulling my hand down to his own... his jeans were strained, yep. He rolled his own hips against your palm, letting you feel the arousal. I'll ruin you from the inside and I'm gonna love every second of it. Randall! Oh, I'm not into rough play, dude. Not from a guy, anyway. His tongue crawled along the back of my ear and he squeezed my hand. Not saying that either. I hope you'll love it too. There could have been something sinister behind his last words, however seductive they were, but I didn't have much time to dwell on them. Releasing his weight off me for a moment, Randall quickly pulled down his own clothes, tossing his shirt aside and slipping out of his jeans. His physique was picture perfect, the type of muscular ideal you'd see on a magazine cover. And between his legs, there was a situation going on. There was nothing human going on about it. But apparently he's a big boy, I think. If this is what I'm reading. Oh, there's boob in this one. Okay. I'm not going to show this one then. When he lowered himself back onto me, his cool flesh brushed across mine and I felt his ding-dong doing something. And then he says, Valkii, Valkii. The look in his eyes made me shiver again. There are options. Please stop teasing me, I just want you inside. What if I want control, ... or is something wrong? I don't know what to say. I'm gonna say, what if I want control? Just because I'm curious to what that even means, I guess. Oh, he's like, I don't give anyone control. A sudden iciness entered his voice, although his heated expression didn't change. I'm also gonna ask... I'm gonna go back and ask, is something wrong? Okay, well, he says, yeah, I'm not inside you yet. Okay. Again, we're just gonna make this a very consensual act. No two ways about it. You can't question it. It's fine. Please stop teasing me. I just want you. Oh, and then I say that and he says, no, you don't. But I'm gonna fuck you anyway. I don't like Randall right now. I don't think I like him right now. Alright, he grabbed his thingy by the bottom and he presses it somewhere and rubs it somewhere. And I couldn't help but wonder if my flesh would tear dry as we were, or if I would even feel it. Just let this happen. I'm uncomfortable. I wish I could show you it, but there is boob. There is one boob. A strained hiss leaked out from between Randall's teeth. The head of his thingy slowly began to sink inside me, sliding forward little by little. I still couldn't feel any pain, even though he was so big that my body had to stretch around him, giving in to the invading length. Soon he was completely buried inside me, filling me up, connecting our cold flesh. Dig my nails against him and moan, look into his eyes. Randall, I can feel. In response to my words, Randall let out a low guttural growl, grinding his hips against mine. I haven't even started yet. I just don't like him right now. Slowly, he pulled back a little, only letting the head of his thingy stay within me. It left behind a strange feeling of emptiness until he slammed his hips forward roughly, hilting himself again. I never thought you'd feel like this. What does that mean? His words leaked out in a half-whisper, half-growl, as he began to work into a steady pace. Because of our nature, he didn't pant and he didn't sweat, so a quiet stream of groans were his only signs of effort. There are some options. I can kind of show you. These. Because you can't see the boob anymore. I don't know if it's gonna go full again. But I'm just showing you. Back to the disgusted anime girl. I'm not really disgusted. I mean, kind of am actually. So I'm gonna choose It Feels So Good, Don't Stop, because again, I kind of want to make this as consensual, even though he seems to not want it to be. Or maybe, I don't know, it's weird. I don't like it. No, I won't. Any hesitation, oh, it seems to be gone. Any hesitation he'd shown before now seemed completely distant. He started to fuck me like this was the last time we'd ever hold each other. He pounded me harder and harder against the cushions, driving into me so deeply that my head seemed to spin. With each thrust, the room echoed with the sound of flesh hitting flesh, a vulgar rhythm that filled my ears. This is like the most graphic one, I think. Mingled with the sound that was the noise of muffled laughter and shouting, voices from outside. Yeah, couldn't they just come in at any moment? Just beyond the porch, Randall's followers were getting ready for the upcoming battle. I had locked the front door, but if anyone broke through it right now... Oh, never mind. You see titty. He saw a little titty. Randall's voice came out low, choked, and his eyes sharply squeezed themselves shut. The couch creaked and rocked underneath us. The force of his thrusts was almost enough to make it collapse. Valkii, I can't. Okay. From the way his ding-dong twitched inside of me, I knew he was about to reach his limit. I'm not gonna say that, I'm just gonna kiss him. I leaned upwards towards him, trying to pull him down simultaneously into a kiss, but instead of meeting my lips, he pressed his face to my shoulder, suddenly dragging his fangs against my skin. He clearly wanted to bite into me, but he didn't. He only dragged his tongue across my throat, slowly, longingly, as if to savor me. And I think he has reached his conclusion. His hips bucked in 1, 2, 3 harsh thrusts, tilting his shaft in me. Does it just feel better for Mavar or something? I'm confused. A deep tremor racked Randall's body, his muscular form jerking on top of mine. At that moment, my whole body felt... Jesus, this is like... the fucking options, racked with ecstasy, full of powerful love, completely petrified, or nothing. So I always wondered, because I look at the trigger tags on Steam, and there was one for like sexual assault, I think, but it was like only if you choose the options, like only if you choose things that would insinuate that. And I was like, I've never even come across that. Like, I don't get it. But now I get it. This is there are many options here to make it sound like, and is like, if you chose those options, that you were being sexually assaulted, I guess. Because if you didn't want it anymore, I don't think Randall would stop if you started, you know? That's fucked up, and makes me feel queasy. But again, we're making this consensual, so racked with ecstasy. I shuddered, my eyes rolling back. No matter how dulled my senses were, Randall's pounding drove me to a climax, and I trembled from head to toe from an overpowering wave of bliss. It swallowed me completely. As Randall shuddered at his peak, I waited for a rush of fluid inside me, but none came. Yet nothing came. His shaft continued to throb, pulsing in my walls until I finally felt it beginning to soften. With his face still pressed into my shoulder, Randall exhaled a long, heavy breath. And all the tension left his body at once. It didn't take long for Randall to return to his normal self. When the last heated moments had passed, he quickly followed them up with a laugh, apologized for being shit at dirty talking. The atmosphere between us felt slightly uncomfortable, but Randall obviously didn't want to talk about it, so we just stayed side by side, retreating to the bedroom to relax for a little while. Okay, back to the scene. Eventually, as the clock's semi-broken hand crept closer to dawn, I knew I needed to head back. Randall walked with me all the way to the beach's edge, where he gave me a last, long embrace before letting me go. Either Charisse's earlier words about keeping me locked up were an empty threat, or else the Ascari were so busy preparing for tomorrow that my disappearance went unnoticed. But I managed to climb my way back up to the window unseen. Or if I was seen, nobody said anything. At last, just as sun was about to rise, I slipped into the darkness of my bed. And I'll see you in the next one.